Great. Good morning and welcome to the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. Today's Tuesday, July 5th. Hope everybody had a wonderful 4th of July. We are streaming live on the City Madison YouTube channel and also archiving a video of the meeting, so we'll have a roll call. Clerk?
Eaglin?
Here.
Mayor Courtney?
Here.
Carlo?
Here.
Board, if you had an opportunity to review the minutes from June the 21st, if so, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes of June 21st meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. No adjustments, no unfinished business. Move into first resolution, which is a temporary closing of 4 parking spaces. Is there someone here representing Commonwealth Roofing? Sir, good morning. Might ask you to come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and we'll have our counsel read the resolution for you, sir. Thank you.
This is resolution number.
Hey, Joe.
39.
Thank you.
Resolution number 39B-2022, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding temporarily closing 4 parking spaces and a portion of the driving lane in front of 209 West Main Street. Whereas there's been a request filed by Commonwealth Roofing for permission to close 4 parking spaces and a portion of the driving lane located in front of 209 West Main Street for approximately 2 to 3 hours each day from July 18th, 2022 through July 22nd, 2022, in order for the company to complete repairs of the building located at 209 West Main Street. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the driving lane in front of 209 West Main Street and the 4 parking spaces shall be closed for 2 to 3 hours each day from July 18th, 2022 through July 22nd, 2022, for Commonwealth Roofing to complete repairs to the exterior of the building located at 209 West Main Street.
Good morning, sir. What's your name?
I'm AJ Mendez with Commonwealth Roofing.
Great. Thank you for being here, and thank you for introducing this today. Tell us a little bit about the project.
Most everything you just read was accurate. It's really only one day for a few hours. Erica was the one who typed that out. She must have misunderstood what we said. We're going to be replacing the roof on 209. I believe that's the address, sorry. Yeah, 209 West Main Street. And normally it's only a one-day job. It is a rather older roof, so there's going to be anticipate a few issues. It may take 2 days to get the job done. However, we just need to shut down the 4 lanes and partial driving lane, just long enough to get our material up on the roof with the crane.
Okay. And what building is that? What commercial building is it?
209 West Main Street, just right over here. It's basically a vacant building right now. Kentuckiana Mortgage Group owns it.
Okay.
I believe the man's name is Keith Collins.
Okay.
He's the one who owns it. However, and I didn't hear, she must not put this down. Now, with the way it's all set up over there, normally we'll drop our material off of like a back of a building. That's not going to be possible over here. Whenever I did my site visit the other day, whenever we get our material up on the roof, we would like to get a trash chute set up as well. That way, whenever we take things off, we can safely drop it down and shoot it directly into a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And during working time, we can set up scaffolding to where people can safely still walk through. It'll be completely covered.
Okay.
However, we will need a couple of those parking spaces in front of the building for the trailer, for the trash to be able to
Okay.
slide.
So will you have someone there, I guess, regulating
Yes, yes.
and monitoring the situation? And so for the,
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
somebody on the ground the whole time.
okay.
When we
Oh,
Google
okay, that's
Earthed
your
it,
nails.
we
Gotcha.
actually
Okay, thank you.
just happened to be like a picture, basically exactly what we need to do. We just kind of lucked out. on
Right there.
This, yeah, this is pretty much exactly what we would need to do while we load.
Okay.
And like you said, it would be maybe 2 hours. And then y'all can have the parking spaces and all that back.
Fantastic. Well, I think the resolution could probably stand as is, and then you can, reopen it when you're not using it, but we can still, I think, leave the resolution as is without
Well,
modifying
yeah,
the
I
resolution.
think given chance of rain and different things like that, It's
Makes
probably
sense.
wise to give a little bit of a window.
It makes sense.
Thank you.
Are you, I just want to confirm you're a registered contractor with the city?
Louisville, Kentucky, yes.
I don't, I mean, do you know we have a contractor registration process here in the city? I didn't know if you had registered. Nicole might be able to check on that for you, but also share with you what's required to do contracting work in the city.
Okay.
It's basically registering, providing evidence of insurance, and I would just wanted to ask, since you'll be
Yeah.
here doing the work and we're closing
We may not be
sidewalk.
registered, but we're familiar with the process.
Okay.
We do a lot of
Hey, Nicole, would you mind giving him your card so that we'll get all that taken care of? And I think you can perhaps even do it online. Now I'm looking at Nicole because I know that yes, you can do it. You can do it online registration too, sir. Are there any comments or questions on what's being requested here today? Appreciate you coming in and making the request. Are there any comments or questions from anyone in the audience? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve Resolution 39B 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 39B-2022.
I'll second Carl's motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, sir. Good luck with the project.
Right, thank you all very
Thank
much.
you. Okay. Good morning, and we have the event plan for the Chautauqua.
Morning.
This is one that we should put on the screen because it's a great example
Yeah.
of what a thoughtful event plan looks like that we're migrating to. So, Kara, thank you for all the work you put into this. So I'm looking forward to going over with you, but I do want to just say thank you because of the event guidelines that we had, published earlier in the year. You followed them to a T, and there's a lot of really, really good information in here that we can now have a good conversation about.
I might add, this is the gold standard
Oh,
of
thank you.
event plan.
That's why I was like, are we putting this up on the screen? Because it would be a really, really, really good one.
Yes.
The only question I have about the.
Well, let's let Kara give us an
Okay.
overview, and then we'll get into Q&A.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll shut up.
Carl? No, I didn't say that.
I'll shut up. You hurt my feelings.
Sorry.
Basically, what's contained in the packet, I went through a detailed list of what Hannah has requested from the city's perspective. These are all plans that we have had for years, but they've never been accumulated into a cohesive document, so I took this opportunity to do that. Basically, I didn't make any changes. Last year, we did meet with the city police and fire multiple times to discuss the barricades, and we've got that ironed out. So this packet kind of contains business as usual for the last 50 years from the festival's perspective, with the tweaking of the golf cart traffic on 2nd Street and potentially some golf cart parking. But basically, it's the same as what we've been
Okay.
doing.
Well, now it's in an organized plan that everybody that's
Yes.
involved, not only your committees, but the board, and as you mentioned, our chiefs, two chiefs on the public safety side of things, as well as our street department. There's a lot of moving parts to a festival this large, just like what we experienced last week with the Madison Regatta, which I think Madison shined throughout the course of the week, and because of a lot of good coordination and collaboration over the last several months, we had a safe, fun event. And that's the ultimate goal here. None of this removes the need to still communicate well, with streets and water and fire and police. Because the other thing too, that why we felt it was important to start formalizing event planning guides and requirements was so that there would be an understanding that there's impact on city resources inside the footprint, and then a big impact outside the footprint. And heretofore, the only thing that was really being thoughtfully discussed, I think, and not, as you mentioned, not as cohesively as it is now, was what's going on inside the footprint. But there's public safety issues all abound our community when you have a major tourism event like Regatta or Riverfest or Chautauqua or Tour Homes, and we do this 40 times a year, some very, very small, some really, really large. And what we want to look at was a real comprehensive look of the impact on the city, not just inside the footprint. So that's why we've migrated toward here, and we're still evolving. The plans, I will say, are getting better. The early drafts of the event plans were, getting there, but not quite there. But it's obvious that you put a lot of time and thought in organizing, which is really, really good. And I think that, Mike is here to talk about 5 to the 5. They did a good job too. We'll get better and better. And ultimately it's to really have a good understanding as to what's the demand on resources in order to help facilitate an event of this caliber with the city. So, with that said, any other remarks, Kara, you want to make before we go into some Q&A?
I don't think so. I'll
Okay.
answer as many questions as I can.
There aren't page numbers
No.
on this, so I don't know if you want to turn pages or if you can properly describe what page you're going to be commenting on, Carl. We can bounce around if that's okay with you.
This would be the.
There might be a heading of the page.
First page.
Is there a heading on it?
Yep, Madison's talk, yes, site map, not the scale.
Site
I
map,
don't see it,
okay.
I don't see it. My only question is, at First and Elm, you have the restrooms right on that corner that could have some traffic. Could those be moved over to the west side of Elm and the children's activity moved a little south?
That street's closed though, right?
You're right, but
Yeah.
there is open to residents.
We typically tuck those portalets right there along the corner. So any traffic that would be coming in would come down Broadway, head west on First Street, and then would have to head north on Elm.
Okay,
So we put those portalets south of First Street so that they're not in a traffic pattern there.
Okay. But they couldn't be moved across the street to the west? Because
That'll-
there's a sidewalk there.
We're in
Anyway,
the street.
Putting them on the state-owned property, like we would have to,
well,
yes,
I'm talking,
we can visit, yeah.
yeah, I'm talking about staying on the street, just moving it towards the west a
We
little
can
bit.
look into that.
Okay. You have a children's activity? Right.
Yes.
I was just saying, just talking, there might be room to move it south. And then, I just kind of, I don't like things right on the
Oh,
corner.
you're saying trying to get out of the
Yeah.
corner because looks like there's a void area before the
Right.
booths start, just a little bit south of there?
The incline of the street also helps dictate where we can put the portalets.
Sure, and I understand that,
It's no fun to get into.
yeah. Yeah, you don't wanna, yeah. We want everything stable at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, while we're on that page, I will ask you, is there any RV and camping? I'm not sure I saw designated areas, but I wanted to ask, and it might be in a different map, but while we're looking at the footprint map that Carl was just referring to, is there any RV and camping?
We offer RV, overnight accommodations for exhibitors only, for artists and/or concessionaires only.
Okay,
And they have to park on the east end of our footprint in the two areas there off of Vaughn Drive that say exhibitor parking only.
okay,
We do have exhibitor parking on the other end, but we ask our artists not to spend the night there. They need to go to the other parking lot down by the Brown Gym for any overnight.
okay, I'm sorry, what was your last statement about overnight, you're saying overnight parking down by the Brown Gym?
We
Okay.
do have RV spots that artists can reserve for a fee, and that all happens between the Poplar, Central, and West Street along those parking areas on the parking pad and that parking lot.
Okay,
Artists can park on the west end at the base of Mill Street. There is the grassy area They can park during the day and even park a trailer there, but we ask that all overnight parking and sleeping happens on the other side over by West Street.
Okay.
We
But there's
offer
no,
electrical hookups, but we don't offer water hookups for
okay,
them.
no, but there's no public RV and camping, okay. Okay, we'll just turn pages then on the pedestrian crowd management plan. The legends are fantastic. Thank you for that. All the footnotes are great. The the Vine and Main. And again, I'm gonna ask a question because we talked about this last year. There is no pickup or drop-off at that location?
No,
And the pickup and drop-off, is that at the main entry into the venue, which would be First and Broadway?
it would be First and Broadway. Last
Okay.
year, we weren't able to secure a shuttle because of COVID restrictions. That's something we're still trying to secure. So in the event that we have it, it will be dropped off at First and Broadway.
Okay. And the barricade that's up at Main and Elm Street, that's just to restrict access to residents only? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on that map before we move on?
The barriers, are those the concrete barriers that we used for the regatta?
At the
Was-
main entrances of the
Mm-hmm.
festival, so both ends of on Broadway and First, Elm and Second, and Main and Vine, we have the concrete barricades.
Good.
Everywhere else are the
Just a movable?
temporary ones,
Okay.
removable.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Dave, any questions on that, Matt? Okay. Next one on the pedestrian crowd management plan. Where is the shuttle pickup and drop off? Is it only at the entrance that we just talked about? That's where the shuttle is happening as well?
Yes.
Okay. And what about wayfinding for parking? Because what I envision is people will come in a lot from the west side of town, and they'll get into town, and there's not great wayfinding with regards to where event parking is, and then they end up downtown in the central business district and literally going everywhere, just driving around looking for parking, event parking. What is the wayfinding signage that you've considered to direct people to the proper parking area to get in and out quicker?
As far as the public parking situation, Chautauqua doesn't maintain a public designated parking area. We've tried to do the parking garage over by River Terrace in the past. We just found that nobody really took people park where they want to park. So as much as signage as we had, we couldn't get people to take advantage of the parking that we have. So we currently don't have a public parking lot.
Well, I'm not,
So
and
therefore,
I'm not,
signage
Yeah.
for the public lot.
yeah, I'm not suggesting it's all public. I'm just saying is where are they gonna park? Because I think with the traffic calming measures that we've done on the west end, right, that's going to probably exacerbate traffic on the west end as they're coming in from that direction, looking for a place to park. And so what I'm kind of envisioning, and you tell me if I'm wrong, they're gonna come in and they're not gonna know where they park, other than they know the event's gonna be down on the river. They're going to be driving all into town, looking for a space, and there'll be a lot of repeat visitors, so many of them will know, let's just find a spot on the side. But are you saying there's no coordination for any type of event parking? It's just come here and find a spot?
In the past, we haven't had a public,
Because again,
Chautauqua.
remember, Carol, what we're trying to do is manage what's happening outside the footprint. And that's where wayfinding is gonna be important, which is, we don't want them, clogging up Main Street from Jefferson to the top of Hanover Hill because they can't find a place to park. And I'm not saying you're gonna have 10,000 people all come in at the same time. But at 5 o'clock, you'll have a lot of people leave at the same time. But getting in here early, they're gonna be driving all around looking for some space. I'd like to give some thought to a better parking management if we can, okay? And this is also where it's important to be speaking with Chief Wallace, because, you know, I'll say this, I'll sound like a broken record by the time we finish the conversation today. The activity isn't just happening down on the river, it's happening all over town, which is why we've got to be thoughtful about what's going on the side streets and on Main Street outside of the festival footprint. That too has to be managed, and that too requires a lot of planning and resources. We're just trying to do that part of it better as well. So when we follow up with Chief Wallace about traffic management, which we had a written traffic management plan for Regatta this year, because we knew we would have an influx of people, particularly for parade and fireworks, how do we get them in and out quickly and safely? And it took a tremendous amount of extra resources and planning. And I think the same thing is going to be true here, particularly in light of all the stuff that's going to be happening on Main Street, and, you know, kind of a triple venues happening, with the rodeo happening at the same time, as Chautauqua happening at the same time as the Pilot Club's
Old
event
Courthouse.
going at Old Courthouse. It's going to be jam-packed, so we have to be really more thoughtful about the planning of traffic coming in and out of town, not just footprint. So let's add that to a follow-up list of things that we need to make sure Chief Wallace is also focusing on.
The grassy areas down there where people park, and sometimes I think they pay a fee to park there, right there, like in front of Dr. Canada's place. And is that, do y'all know if
We
they're?
have nothing to do.
Okay,
Chautauqua
I didn't know
does
if
not
that
have
was gonna be
anything.
available where you could put a sign up on Main Street with just a sign saying parking available, or something of that nature, if it's gonna be available. I don't know if you talked to the owners. I know one year the church had used that as a fundraiser, and that was a very good idea, but, because that's a lot of parking,
It is.
yeah, but I don't know if we're gonna do it again this year or not.
I mean,
but-
if there's a plan that another festival has used with signage,
There
I'd be
isn't.
happy,
That's why we
yeah.
keep bringing it up, is because people aren't planning for outside of event impact. But we have to. Parking.
I know there's several hundred parking places available there. Like I said, the church was using one year for a fundraiser. I know the kids were sitting down there.
yeah,
and
we've
Did a great
tried a
job.
few different options where we've, like I said, the parking garage, and we've run shuttles downtown, and we just found that from the committee's perspective, it takes a lot of management and a lot
Yeah.
of effort, and we have maybe 20 people use it.
Yeah.
So the
Oh, you're talking about the
juice isn't-
shuttle?
Yeah, the
Oh.
juice and the squeeze, from our perspective, you know, we couldn't get people to take advantage of it. We'd like to.
So would you be better off dropping that and working with more closer footprint?
Well, the
Parking
last 2
plan?
years, we haven't done a downtown shuttle because no one was
Would you have it
using
back this year?
We're trying to get the high school shuttle back for this year, which is where we encourage people to park at the high school, and we have buses that run down. Because of the new drop-off on Broadway, we have to make sure we get smaller buses, because we used to use school buses, but a school bus won't be able to make that U-turn. So we'll have to find shorter buses.
Now, that operation's been successful, correct? The high school shuttle?
Yes.
Because I see the buses,
okay.
when they come to town, when they come down and unload, they're full, and then when they go back to the hilltop, they're full, so.
Yeah, with COVID, we were relying on school buses, and schools weren't willing to have us use it for general public use
Yeah.
in the middle of a pandemic, so.
I think what you were referring to as 20 or 30 people using it was trying to direct people over to the parking garage.
And we had a downtown shuttle that would take you, it was a conversion van that we had donated. We had drivers. We offered to drive people anywhere they wanted to go downtown. Let us take you to your car, let us take you, and it just never panned out. People just didn't. We had drivers drive
Yeah.
around all day with empty vans,
Gotcha.
so.
Mainly probably because we just didn't have one big designated parking lot or
Well, and I
field.
think it takes a couple of years for things to get established, for
Yeah.
people to understand what's there, so, gave it a couple tries.
The next site plan, pedestrian crowd management on security, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8, and 6. What are those legends?
This is an area when I sat down with Tanya in years past, she broke the footprint up into kind of,
7, 8, okay.
districts.
Okay.
And so she would assign an officer to a certain area, and so
Okay.
those correspond with an area. So she would tell the guys that she had coming in, you're gonna patrol this area. For the most part, this is what they stuck to.
Okay.
If there's an emergency, they all tend to flock to wherever the emergency was, but this is the general layout of where we would like people to hang out.
And those are off-duty police officers? Okay.
Okay.
I know that we worked on golf cart passage through. And when we get with Chief Wallace, let's look at the availability of resources to man that corner with an MPD officer, other than, we just have to look to see if that person's gonna be available.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
No.
You're getting a lot of questions because you provided such great detail.
That's right.
I love it. On the pedestrian emergency plan, the legend there with the arrows, is that your ingress egress analysis for the parts of the footprint where there is room for emergency personnel such as fire and ambulance?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, they have access to any parts of the festival. We made sure from pretty much any direction.
We want to make sure perhaps Chief Washer and Marshal DeVries look at this to see if this primary ingress and egress works,
Okay.
and that the lanes are clear enough to get the emergency vehicles in and out. That's always. And I don't think this has ever been a problem with Chautauqua, but once the vehicles are in for exhibits, they can't leave during the Chautauqua Festival. Is that correct?
From the exhibitor parking lots, they could actually enter and exit if they needed to run and go get something.
Yep.
The actual footprint, all the vehicles need to be out by 9 a.m. So if the artist comes in the morning and they need to restock their booth or stock their booth from the night before, they can bring their vehicle up to their booth, unload, but by 9 a.m., the festival opens at 10. By 9 a.m., they have to have all vehicles out.
Okay, they can't be in during the Chautauqua, right?
Not at
They can't
all.
bring in, load up, unload. Okay, that's
No,
what I
not at
remember.
all.
Can't tear down early and,
No.
okay.
Good.
Sell out, you stand in an empty tent.
Okay.
My next question, first of all, again, your slides are excellent. I don't know if I saw, what date are you planning or needing inspections for tents and things that the fire marshal would need to inspect in order to give you an event permit?
Typically, we set that up also with the health department so they can come do the inspections all at the same time. And it's usually Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
So fire and health department, 8 a.m.
Toward the front.
Yeah, I
Okay.
work with our
But I was looking
concessionaire
for-
chair.
Inspections.
Yeah, it's there right
Oh,
there.
here we go. There it is.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I see it now. Saturday,
Yeah.
September 24th at 8 a.m. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
For the most part, that's just the concessions area. We do have one or two artisan food booths that they have to go check out as well, but it's mostly down on Bond Drive.
But in the case of, so, let's say one of the vendors did need to get to there where their car's parked, and that's, of course, several blocks away. Do y'all provide a shuttle for them to transport them up there?
We have usually about 8 golf carts for the committee's use. And
Okay.
so our concessions chair, he has his own, so if they need to run something, and we're kind
Okay.
of patrolling all the time. Also during festival hours, we have volunteer block captains that wander around, and so if an artist has a specific need that they need a shuttle to someplace, we've got plenty of committee on hand to take care of that.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. We've already talked about signage. My only comment on the signage was just event parking. And then on waste management, there's the last statement about we'll need to use the Madison City trash bins throughout the festival footprint. Are you just talking about
Trash cans.
the trash cans? Okay, gotcha. All right. Utilities management plan. There's two things here that I want to bring up. One is use of the area inside Crystal Beach. That's still going to be a construction zone. I think maybe, did you already talk to Gina about that?
Yeah, I
Did you
did,
work out an
and-
alternative?
Yeah. Other festivals just typically lock up their golf carts and don't have an issue, so we do have 24-hour security roaming the footprint, so we're gonna just park golf carts near the info tent and lock them up for the evening.
Okay. And there's also a reference in here on electrician, and I thought what we did was we powered up the panels and put water meters in place, and you're responsible for running your own lines for concession or what other power you need. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
Nicholas Schaefer takes care of our concessionaires, and so I think, I know Trev is down there kind of wandering around, but I think Nicholas handles most of the concessionaire
Okay.
hookups.
Okay. And on the facility use form, there's a reference to Bicentennial Park. Is there something going on inside Bicentennial?
No, and I
Okay.
wasn't sure if I needed to check that off. We
You're
have
using the
that.
parking area in front, right?
We're
Okay.
using the parking pad and all of the parking spaces, so I wasn't, we've not in the past had to reserve Bicentennial Park, but obviously someone else
Okay.
couldn't.
And I'm
rent it for
fine with that. I
weekend.
just wanted to know if you all were sponsoring. Your music is up at the Lanier, correct?
Yes.
But there may
main
be,
music.
we just also want to make sure we're aware of, there's a lot of stuff happening and that they don't conflict with one another.
Right,
So, but
Yeah.
we'll leave that on there the way that is.
yeah, that and Crystal Beach, knowing that we don't really use Crystal Beach, but we use the grassy area behind it typically.
Yep.
So I
Behind the
kept those
concessionaires. Yeah.
checked, but
Trying to remember, is the basketball, what about the basketball courts at Crystal Beach?
we parked the gray water tank there. That's, the lawn in front of Crystal Beach is really kind of the, behind the house for the concessionaires. We've talked about switching it and taking advantage of the lawn, but with the construction, we thought this year wasn't a good year to try to use the lawn for anything.
So we're closing the courts, is what you're saying?
Yes, well, the gray water tank is parked there during festival
Okay.
hours, yeah.
Okay.
And I think we had some kids playing basketball, and,
Wouldn't really be conducive with that, so many people down there.
yeah.
And you got concessionaires right on the corner of it. Okay. Just wanted to understand exactly what we're doing with the footprint, particularly while it's under construction.
Might be a good weekend to open up the Lydia Milton playground for the kids to play basketball. Since
Be a
we're
good
gonna take
spot.
Crystal Beach away from them.
Be a good spot.
Yep.
They'll still have J.C. Park down on the
That's
other
true,
end.
that's true.
I wanted to ask too, fireman's is open. Okay. Kara, what questions did we not ask that you thought we would ask that you want to share with us?
I think we covered it as far as I know of the details. I know the neighborhood letters that we typically hand out, I will say as far as most of our procedures are pretty ironed out. That one I find cumbersome, so if we could get maybe a list of addresses of people that would be affected, so we could better make sure we're getting, because we literally just walk around door to door, putting letters and parking passes.
I don't think we have an official list,
Okay.
but GIS is where, like, if I want to see who lives on a block, I can go to, the county GIS, and it'll give you the name and address of everybody there. That's a really good resource.
Just so I understand
Yep.
the structure, at some point in time, are we gonna do a street closure, or have they actually,
We've already done the street
they've
closure.
already done it? I
This
wasn't
is the
sure.
event plan. I want to thank you for the follow-up, because, again, this is an evolving process, and then I think we did the street closure while we were working on the event planning, then we published and approved the event planning, and then we went back and asked the event organizers to submit the event plan. I think the street closure was done in February.
Yes.
Board, any additional questions and compliments on how thorough this was?
Yeah,
And we-
like David said, this is very,
It
very
was
good.
very easy to go through. It was
Okay.
very comprehensive, but it was easy to go through because you did provide the detail that we were looking for. And it did line up extremely well with the guideline
Yeah.
that we had published.
I went through that, and I think, from a committee standpoint, a lot of people probably on our committee don't even know some of these things, so it's a good packet for everybody.
Sure.
Welcome to
That's great.
Chautauqua.
And you build
Memorize this.
upon it each year if
Yeah.
something changes.
Definitely.
But thank you for doing this. And I'll open it up to the floor. Any comments or questions? I think, Richard, did you have a comment? Please come to the podium if you don't mind. Yeah. That way we can everybody can benefit from your questions.
Richard Ice, Chamber of Commerce. You're setting the concrete barriers up. When are you setting those? When are you taking them down? How are you getting them out?
The city sets them, we request that everything is set by Friday morning, at 8 AM. They're typically set out before that. Thursday is when we have, Neganard comes in and starts setting up some tents. So there are a couple places like in front of, the Brown Gym that we have to have prior. And then Sunday, the street closures end, I think officially around 8:30 PM. So whenever the city gets to removing those on Monday morning. Our committee goes around and we will pull all of the temporary barricades, but obviously we can't move the concrete barricades.
So if the barricades are left in place a couple days, as long as traffic can get through? I'm just trying to think of Main Street.
Just exactly like what we did with Regatta, they were basically open, but barricades were there all day yesterday, but cars and pedestrians and cyclists can still pass through. And then they were picked up as soon as the holiday was over with.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Might say on the Chautauqua, since there won't be a holiday like there was yesterday, I'm assuming the barricades will probably be removed on
The
Monday
next
morning.
business day.
Will it help you, Richard, to have a copy of this?
I got a copy.
You got a copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Kara,
again,
thank-
I'd just like
yeah.
to reiterate that, there's been a lot of time, a lot of thought, a lot of hours put together, in order to put this together. And again, it's just
A lot of parts and a lot of
it's
information.
a gold
Great
standard
job.
of,
Thanks.
Great job.
so, if every festival use this as a guideline, well, it's just my compliments to the committee for.
It's
for
a
the
big festival, and it's
Yes.
requires more planning. So I move that we approve the event guideline for Madison's 2022 Chautauqua.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Kara.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all you guys are doing. And who's your guest with you today?
My lovely assistant, Audra.
Hi, Audra. All right, let's move on to the next resolution. Mike, are you here representing Vintage Thunder?
I am.
Closure and event guidelines? Yep, go ahead.
This is resolution number 40B dash 2022, resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding a street closing for the Madison Vintage Thunder, whereas there's been a request filed by Mike Fine on behalf of the National Boat Racing Heritage Center for a street closing in conjunction with the Madison Vintage Thunder to be held on September 17th and 18th, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets shall be closed from Thursday, September 15th, 2022 at 2:30 PM through Sunday, September 18th, 2022 at 6 PM. Vaughn Drive between the west side of Poplar Street and the east side of Jefferson Street. Mulberry Street between First Street and Vaughn Drive. West Street between First Street and Vaughn Drive, and Central Avenue between First Street and Vaughn Drive. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the city boat ramp located between West Street and Jefferson Street shall be closed from Thursday, September 16th, 2022 at 2:30 p.m. through Sunday, September 18th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Okay, Mike, good morning. Please share with us what the event entails.
The event entails, starting on Thursday evening, we'll be bringing in the docks to set the docks up. That's why we need the closure at that time. We'll also be bringing in the cranes from Kentucky at that time to set the cranes up, not unlike Chautauqua. We are hoping to have that all accomplished Thursday evening so that when Friday morning comes, we'll be able to bring in the boats, setting up the boats in the ramp, and have all our pits completely set up, to have a meeting with the drivers and the crane operators to go over our safety as far as that's concerned. On Friday night, we're hoping to have all the vendors set up for an inspection first thing Saturday morning by the health department and the fire department. On Saturday, we start the event at actually around 8 o'clock in the morning. And at that point also, on Friday, we'll be bringing in the Vintage Tractor Club from Kent. And we should have 50 vintage tractors that will be in our footprint. They're going to have a judging and an event alongside our event. That will be just west of the pit area along Vaughn Drive. We're also expecting the Shelby Cobra Club to bring in about 20 to 22 vehicles that will also be parked west of the pit area for viewing by the public. And that should occur Saturday morning. After those are set up, we're hoping to have everything set and ready to go, as I said, by 8 to 9 o'clock Saturday morning. The event will run Saturday to 5 o'clock. That's when we have the river closed. That's when we'll stop completely and everybody will disperse. And then again, Sunday morning, we will start again right around 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And we'll again close at 5 o'clock that afternoon, at which time we will take the docks down, have them transported back to where east of town, and at the same time, the cranes will leave Sunday evening. I don't expect the cranes to be there Monday morning. That's a possibility, but in the past, we've been able to have them leave in Sunday evening to be able to open everything up.
Okay.
That's basically the timeline of the event.
That's a good description of the running sheet that was part of our guidelines. And thank you, too, for all the work you put into essentially, transcribing what this event's going to look like so that all of us, Board of Public Works, all of our public safety apparatus, and the community will know what's going to go on and how it's going to impact everywhere else. That's the whole purpose of this. So thank you for doing it, Mike. You want to go through, get some questions? Answer questions?
Who's your emergency guy? If there is an emergency, who's your contact? Do we have his name?
I am the contact for that. That would be myself. I'm not
Okay.
actually risk management
Okay.
for the APBA. So I will be fulfilling that role on site.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just had a question about the street closings on Thursday. I understand needing the street closings to get the docks and the cranes into the pit area and the boat ramp. But will the streets be closed all night Thursday night? Or will the streets be open, will Vaughn Drive be open when you're finished setting up Thursday evening, would the street be open until it needs to be closed again on Friday morning?
It will not, and the reason being that we will have vintage boats that come from the East Coast and different locations, Florida, Michigan, and we're not sure of their arrival time, and we can't set them in the pits until we have all that set, and usually we don't want to do that when it starts getting dark. We're going to have a pit layout. So some of those boats will park along Vaughn Drive, and we need security for that, and my security starts then, so that we can watch over the boats and whatever else arrives at that time.
Okay.
And you said that your tractors at Kent Club will be on Vaughn Drive?
Yes.
They're displayed.
Yes, they will.
So you're not using Fireman's Park for anything like that?
No, we are not. I wrote down Fireman's Park because that's where we have our dinner on Saturday night. And right now, that plan may change, but it's not going to utilize any of the city's parks at all.
Where will they stage at, Mike, when they come out? I'm assuming they're coming in on a trailer.
Okay?
Yeah,
We'll bring them down Jefferson,
okay.
and we'll bring them directly in. There's no reason not, if the boats are coming in, it's not gonna be like regatta, where we have different classes and large boats that are coming in with a lot of trailers. We're just gonna bring them right in, park them
Okay.
on Vaughn Drive if they come in Thursday night. Right when they come in Friday, our deal
right
is
down the
we
pit.
want the pits set, so everything's ready to go. And so we'll be putting the boats in the pits on Friday all day long when they arrive.
While we're on the topic of pits, do you have a security in the pits?
Yes,
Okay,
I have security, actually, I have 3 points of security for the pits. The entry off of Jefferson, the main judges stand entry back and forth, and then the entry off of West Street. I'll have security personnel stationed there. I will also have security personnel at each of the gates, but not to stop the public, but basically keep cars out or golf carts that don't have passes. It's a free flow of everybody because we're not charging. People have total freedom to go where they want, except for the pit area.
is that the only area that's technically being fenced off?
Yes,
Okay. And everything else will just have the barricades at the
Yes.
entry points to
yes,
stop vehicular traffic?
yes.
Okay. And you mentioned golf carts. Golf carts are allowed during,
Some golf
through the
carts are
venue?
allowed in the footprint, but we have passes that they'll have to have that we'll distribute. And we've made those, and they're ready to be put on the golf carts that have access.
Do you have a number of those, or 50 or 25 passes, or what's your number on that?
We have 40 passes.
40 passes.
We may need more, depends on how many boats we get.
Okay.
We don't have a specific count yet, but we want them to be able to access, quickly, back and forth. A lot of them don't use cars, they just walk.
So those are those aren't passes you're selling to the general public
No.
to bring their golf carts into the venue?
No.
So you're explaining that these are essentially festival golf carts that you're using while the festival's going on?
That's correct.
Okay, gotcha.
We don't have any extra, we really
Okay.
don't want golf carts down there.
Right.
We want it to be pedestrian friendly.
Okay, good.
We
Good.
want people to walk and not have to worry about golf carts.
Okay.
I'm kind of concerned about the access to the restaurant there at the Mulberry.
Oh, Chillbillies?
Yeah.
We are going to have that barricade right on Vaughn.
So it's going to be south of
So
their
they
entrance.
can,
Oh,
I
okay.
want him to be open. I don't
So
want him to be
you're
closed.
not, other than the access onto Vaughn into the footprint area,
Right.
there will still be unlimited access in and out of his parking lot, sounds like.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When you're
Like a
coming
regatta, we did it
Right.
all the way up until the last minute, and then
Right.
there was a gate there. You don't have a gate because it's a free
And you
event.
go up and you guys were north of him. I'm not.
Right.
I'm gonna
Good.
be south of him, they
Okay.
can pull in and out, and, of course, all the pedestrian traffic, we want the businesses in this town to, and his business to be, people have access there so he can make money.
Great.
Is there a gate on Central Avenue? that
I'm
will
sorry?
be- On Central Avenue, isn't there a gate that, where y'all close and lock that gate?
There is, I believe.
Okay. Because I know during the regatta, they allowed golf cart parking from.
On Central?
Yeah, down
Right.
right beside Bicentennial Park. They closed the gate down there this opens that area up for parking.
Right,
And I think it was golf cart only, that way we didn't interfere with the residents on the other side of the street.
Right.
Give them access in and out.
well, the gate would be fine, or a barricade. I like access for the public to walk.
Right.
That's
Well-
what I'm thinking of. We close the gate, they can use the sidewalk going down Bicentennial
Wait,
Park.
but you
That
had
would be
Central,
fine.
you had Central closed at First Street.
Yes.
And I'm
Well,
thinking maybe that it would open up more if you used
well,
the gate.
Central, all the barricades, I want as close to Vaughn as I can get.
Yeah, that's what I mean, that's what I'm getting.
That's what I want, and that's what we did last year. We didn't have it closed for the length of the roads. We don't need that.
Okay, good.
We just want somewhere that we can see and stop any carts or people, cars that we don't want in. We don't need that access for vendors, any kind of, any of the cars that we're showing, anything like that. We're doing it all along Vaughn. So we want the easiest access for people that we can give them.
Yeah, good, I like that.
So, and that's where I'm going, when I'm down there having them place that, I want those barricades as close to Vaughn as we can get them and still have a
Safety.
little room to be able to have people walking up and down and golf carts coming in.
Very good. Pedestrian friendly, fan friendly as well.
That's
I'm
right.
sure, that's right.
That's exactly what this needs to be.
Okay.
Family friendly and people can come and go as they want. I want them on Main Street as much as I want them down there. I mean, that's important.
Mike, I just wanted to ask a couple other things here. Waste management, is there,
I'm sorry?
is waste management, so is there a dumpster service you're
We,
using?
last year, what we did, I'm doing the same thing. I've gotten with Rumpke, they're going to put a dumpster on the far west side of the large parking lot, right there at Poplar.
Okay.
And then we're going to have people patrolling, picking up garbage and putting it in there.
Gotcha, okay.
And then at the end of the event, they'll come and take
Okay,
everything.
fantastic. And,
I want to give you a chance, looking over your overview, your key entertainment. I'll give you a chance to publicize your book and autograph signing by Al Unser Jr.
oh, wow.
Well, what we have is Al Unser Jr.'s come out with a book. And working with Nathan Montoya, we're working on this. I believe this is a done deal, but Nathan's working on it. He got with me a few weeks ago and asked if we could have his book signing there, and I said yes. He'd have a free booth, he could sit down there, it'd be great for the public. He could sign his book, and it would bring people in. It would be another marketing tool that we could use. I've also tried to get I've gotten a hold of the 500 Museum, and I'm trying to see if I could get them to bring one of his winning cars down. Now, that's gonna be kinda difficult, but to have his car there with him, I think would be a lot
Yeah.
of fun. Just having him here will be a lot of fun. And that's what we're really trying hard to do. So,
That would be great, yes.
I'm sorry?
I say that would be great.
It would be. And anything we can give the people coming down here for that weekend and the families, it's just fabulous. I think it makes a big impact on a lot of people.
Just another drawing card.
And got a couple more questions here. Fencing. Have you talked at all with the Riverfront Development Committee? There's not going to be any potential impact with their pending construction project on the judges' stand at that time? I don't know, I'm just throwing it out here because I know that,
That's something I've not heard.
just might want to encourage you to reach out to them so there isn't any
Okay.
coordination issues with the use of the judges' stand
Right.
that we
Are
can.
they starting construction?
I'm just saying, we know that there's a project underway.
Oh, yes.
We don't know the exact timetable. The last thing we want is for there to be a surprise that that they would be starting while you're doing 5 to the 5.
Absolutely. And last year, I developed a plan, and I can go back to that, and I didn't bring that here with me this time because I didn't think that that might be an issue. But I do have an alternate plan of moving the judges' stand and all the officials and to the right of the
Okay.
actual ramp,
Okay,
so that we wouldn't utilize that at all. But I didn't bring that back this year because I didn't think that was an issue. But I do have a plan that we can do that if that is an issue.
I just wanted to elevate that as a potential issue that
Right.
you can just communicate with them on. And then on the Main Street traffic plan, we'll come back to that as well. A similar conversation with Chautauqua, event parking and outside footprint impact. I know that 5 to the 5 is a smaller event, and with the smaller footprint, we just need to always be speaking with fire and police with regards to ingress, egress on our emergency vehicles, and then also designated traffic management or parking. I don't know if you've given any thought to that, had any conversations with Madison Fire Department or Madison Police Department with regards to emergency and traffic management.
Well, I need to get with both
Okay,
and sit down with them, and that's what I did last year. Bill and I sat down on the emergency plans and what I needed to make sure that we had covered as far as that was concerned. And then I sat down with John Wallace on a lot of the issues last year about getting the cranes across the bridge and back, and then also what we needed to do as far as, security or what we needed from the police department.
and thank you, Mike, on that. And none of our event information here talks about approvals you might need from the Coast Guard or DNR.
Right.
I'm assuming you've,
The Coast Guard has already approved us. We will have a Coast Guard presence this year, which we did not have last year. They weren't, for some reason, the year prior to that, somebody told the Coast Guard they weren't needed. We opened conversations up right before our event last year, and now they're going to have a presence here. And also, we're working, of course, we'll have Box 21, which is our professional rescue team on the water, and then hopefully, and I don't have this set in stone yet, the Milton Fire Department water rescue, which helped us last year also.
fantastic. Okay. And again, I appreciate all the work you put into this plan too.
Well, it's hard to follow the A student, when they come up here. Yeah.
Well, you had a lot of really good information here too, and
Yeah.
again, all of this is so that we can understand impact and planning and safety first, as well as resource allocation. Any other comments or questions? Tony, Brian, any questions from you on this?
I make a motion, we approve resolution number 40B-2022.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Any comments or questions from the audience?
Do you want to approve the event plan as well?
Yes.
We'll do it,
Okay. So,
including, so the resolution and the event plan.
Resolution and the event plan, yes.
So you amended his motion for the record,
I'll
clerk.
amend my
Yes,
second.
I amended.
He amended his second to approve his amended motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Mike's gonna be another great year for boat racing.
Yes.
Thank you for
absolutely.
everything.
Regatta
Are you
went
driving,
fantastic.
are you driving again this year?
Don't know yet.
Oh, okay. Wow, the excitement is building already.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Maybe you can
See
get
you later.
Al Unser Jr. out in one of those boats.
I'm sorry?
Maybe you can talk Al Unser Jr. into one of those boats.
I don't know if we want to do that or not.
I will say that,
God bless how wants to
Yeah,
change
we
it, but
Mike, I will say that the opportunity to ride in the Miss US last year was very exciting. So I appreciate you all granting me that opportunity, and it was terrifying but exhilarating all at the same time.
well, I'm glad we were able to do it. We'll never be able to do that again. The Coast Guard, we sat with the Coast Guard and they said that we could not do that. So you got
One and
in
done.
there.
There we
You
go.
got in there.
Making history every day.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. See you. All right, moving on. Invite Nicole Shell up here to talk about Crystal Beach change orders. Give us a little background on why this is occurring, Nicole, and nobody should be surprised, but it's a process.
Yes, so the construction is starting to wrap up at Crystal Beach, so you've got a long list of change orders that we've had to do over the course of the project. We did those initially in-house just to keep the project going, to try to meet a project deadline. But most of these were unexpected adds due to the condition at Crystal Beach. You'll see a couple of negatives there. We were able to change some of the design scope to help with the cost. Those include leaving the existing floor. They just added a ramp in both restroom facilities out to the pool deck, which was a cost savings of just over $14,000. And then we also left a retaining wall in the basement, which was a cost savings of $18,000. The biggest change order you'll see at the very bottom was the removal of the pool from the scope of work. We are going to publicly bid that work so that we can try to get the best cost for that. But that's almost $300,000 out of this project.
And so what Nicole is emphasizing here, as we've talked about before, we've had to bifurcate the Crystal Beach project into two, the pool house and the pool separate. The original contract had both in it with the pool group. We're going to separately bid out once we finalize scope of work and financial plan for the pool itself. This will allow us then to just work with the existing contractor, pool group, on finishing the improvements that are all related to the pool house itself, and then pursue as a separate contract the reconstruction of the swimming pool. So we have a net change order, $262,330 reduction in the contract, the existing contract, and what you'll see in the future is more discussion on, like I just said, the scope of this new scope of work and the release of the public bidding process for the pool itself.
Nicole, you said most of these change orders have already been,
We've
We've taken
verbally approved them. Of course, your body is the official approval for them. All this work has either already been done or ordered. The contractor's just wanting help on these costs.
I'm just questioning. It seems in the past, most of the time, the change orders came before the board for approval before they were completed.
Many of these were net reductions. So we went ahead with the work, which is why we're bringing in a full summary now, because we are bifurcating the project. So Board, I would move that we approve change orders totaling a reduction in the contract in the amount of $262,330.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Any additional comments or questions? Comments or questions from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor? Please come up to the podium.
Sorry, Jan Beatrice at 701 East Second Street. I was just curious if we have a new date for when the pool house will be done, because it was supposed to be done the 30th of May. And I know the pool itself, they had a lot of problems, but the pool house was still not completed on
Yeah,
time.
no, we had announced previously that The target date is early September. Is that correct, Nicole?
Yes, and
Yes.
it will most likely be done even before then.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just waiting on, I believe the elevator itself is the last component.
It's been one of those things, projects that have experienced delays, supply chain issues has been the most long lead times on some of the elements to the construction of the pool house.
Yes.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Board, next thing is really just a notification. Included in the material are two letters from the Indiana Department of Transportation notifying City of Madison and Jefferson County Commissioners that the road improvements for the, what's known as the bridge approach on the east end have been completed and accepted by the state. We received we did receive their notice of the final acceptance, the project being completed on May 19th, 2022. And then we received a notice from the Indiana Department of Transportation of two matters, that because the project is completed, now that triggers the transfer of certain infrastructure components, one being a portion of State Road 56, which dead ends into Searing Street. It's being transferred to the city of Madison, as well as all culverts along the route except for one culvert, and they give you the location of that culvert on the former State Road 56. It will be transferred once it is rehabilitated by NDOT, and we'll receive a separate notice of the transfer of that asset. And then secondly is just a copy of the letter that was sent from NDOT to the Jefferson County Commissioners, indicating, again, that the approach was completed and accepted by the state on May 19th, 2022, and that effective on 12/01 on Sunday, June 19th, NDOT transferred to Jefferson County the three bridges along Main Street that was part of the project. Just FYI only. Any comments or questions on that? I'll invite Nicole back up for PACE Extension 811 East Second Street.
Yes, just one PACE extension for 811 East Second Street. This is the house right on the bridge approach, so it's fitting. They are still working on that project, but they're asking for a 12-month extension to complete that work. Their new deadline would be May 17th, 2023. They have received half of their $25,000 grant.
This house isn't for sale right now, is it?
I've asked the owner that. He's not confirmed or denied that.
Where's the house at? 811 East
811,
Second?
yep, it's the duplex, frame duplex right on the bridge approach.
I saw it.
Oh,
listed-
down there. Gotcha, okay.
I saw it listed on
Okay.
Zillow as being for sale. I think it was 37,000.
So the extension came about of us sending a letter letting him know that his PACE grant had expired and that, according to his grant agreement, he would need to pay back the half of the money that he's received so far. I reiterated several times that if he sold the house, that clause would still apply, and that's when he asked for the extension.
Has he utilized any extensions before?
No, this is his first one.
Is 12 months too long then, if we're trying to monitor a situation that perhaps would result in a recovery of the grant? And you're saying we've dispersed?
We've dispersed half of the funds. He's got quite a bit left, window restoration, wood siding restoration. Really, the part that he completed was rebuilding that back half.
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable with the 12 months, because it doesn't need to sit there another 12 months before some work is started.
Yes,
It has sat there long enough.
And when did we make the, when was the PACE grant extended? I mean, when was it originally
His
granted
PACE
to him?
grant expired in May, on May 17th, 2022.
So did he
it's-
get it May 17th, 21?
Yes. Was his official approval.
Okay, I mean, I would love, I mean, I agree with Carl. You know, a lot of times, again, if it's gonna remain unfinished potentially for another year, you could damage some of the work that's already been completed if it's not properly done, and then it's just gonna sit there. And are we speculating that he's selling the property?
It's on Zillow, that's all I can tell you.
Okay,
If he sells the property before the project is complete, he has to pay back.
Yes,
To have-
we have a signed agreement with him stating that if he does not complete the project, that he would return the funds.
But he wouldn't tell you up front one way or another whether he had it for sale.
No, he would not.
it doesn't look like there's active work going on there now.
I would say that's accurate, yes. I don't know that there has been for a while.
How many extensions would he be eligible for?
They're only eligible for an extension of up to 12 months, so whether that's broken into several extensions or one lump sum.
And you're saying we've made 50% of the funds available?
Yes,
I agree with Board Member Eaglin that this somewhat appears like a waiting game now, rather than an extension of time in order for work to be completed. I'll put you on the spot. Do you have a proposal, counter proposal?
Yeah, I make a motion that we table this until we get some answers from him.
invite him to the next meeting.
I'll second Board Member Eaglin's proposal, table this, and invite Mr. Rawert to a meeting.
Now, there's no provision that says that somebody can't sell their property while they're under a PACE grant, correct?
There's not a provision that specifically says that. It does state that the grant is voided if the property is sold. So I guess that kind of covers that.
Okay.
It's not transferable. The grants are not transferable if the
Yeah.
property's sold.
And if he sold it, he would have to pay back.
The money that he received, yes, because the grant would not have been completed.
I mean, for me, the thing is to keep the pace of the project going. I don't care who owns it. But, you know, right now, I think is a good time to have a real meaningful conversation because technically his grant repayment is due.
Yes, his grant is technically expired unless you extend it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and let's move on to claims.
Mayor had an opportunity to review the claims. With that, I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
Second David's motion.
Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Under Mayor's comments, nothing here really to add other than the fact that you'll see that's continue to evolve and improve our event planning guide and requirements. I mean, it's just so critical because of the resources that it takes all across the community to host large events in the city. I do want to invite the board and the community to attend the groundbreaking next week, July 12th, at the former Madison Plaza or TG&Y Shopping Center for the groundbreaking for the new $55 million mixed-use development that's going in up there. And we'll also be announcing the retailers who will be occupying a majority of the retail space there. We're super excited about that. That'll be 10:30 a.m., July 12th. And one of the largest developments happening in the city, part of a major planning strategy from the last couple of years. And I want to thank everybody who helped put on a really successful 2022 regatta. The weather was fantastic. Large crowds at the regatta, but also along the parade route and fireworks on Saturday night. There were so many things to do, something for everybody, beginning the Saturday before regatta week and every day and every night. Just a tremendous amount of effort by the city, the fire department, the police department, volunteers, the event organizers. I think Madison really shined, and we're grateful for Governor Holcomb spending so much time with us in the city during the Regatta Week. And then lastly, I want to also thank Madison Fire Department. They responded to three fire calls during the weekend while they were here in town, including Madison Police Department coincidentally being in town because of our revised traffic management procedures on Saturday night. But as you know, there was a major structure fire on Walnut Street that rescued a half a dozen people from a burning building. More to come on that, but there were some true acts of heroism all throughout the weekend with our first responders. And so I congratulate their leadership and all of those, all the police and fire department personnel who were responding, and all the collaboration, not just with those two departments, but Milton and Madison Township fire departments too are all providing mutual assistance for these calls. Dave, you and Carl are on fire departments. Any additional thoughts on the weekend in particular?
It was great work. I know John Shainstein called me. He is one of the active firemen at the fire, and he couldn't have been more complimentary to the police and all the assistance to saving those people. They could not get out.
Yeah, there's a lot of video on social media, police body cam, along with residents using their cell phone video. And it's really moving to watch as all that unfolds, and I mean, seeing kids being dropped from the second story window to police officers and people down below to catch them. So, I mean, it's just, I talked to Chief Wallace this morning, and the news media is coming to town to interview him about that. And so it's, you know, we've kind of made the regional news, you might say, for the heroic efforts of the police department, so.
And some of the neighbors in the area who were
Yeah.
quick to respond and alert police and fire, as well as the occupants of that building while the fire was beginning. So again, great.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I'd like to compliment the police department, especially Chief Wallace. Saturday night after the fireworks, I kind of wanted to make it myself to observe the traffic on Main Street after the fireworks was over. We had talked about here at our meeting, as soon as the fireworks are over, everybody grabs their lawn chairs and leaves at the same time. So basically, you've got like a mass evacuation. And the police department, they done a fabulous job of manning the intersections, keeping the traffic on Main Street going west, out of town. The traffic, just a continuous flow. The only time it stopped was at Craigmont and Main, when they had to stop the traffic in order to let the traffic on Craigmont Street and Second Street by. And then they opened it right back up, and the traffic is just a continuous flow. I thought it was cooperation, not only with the police department and the way they operated, but also the drivers of the vehicles. You know, there's no horns blowing and, you know, anybody upset. It was just smooth, just like, you know, what you'd expect. So thought they'd done a tremendous job. So.
Thank you, Dave, for mentioning that. And we had a good traffic management plan this year.
Exactly.
So it was, anything you plan well can be executed well. And there was some intentionality to how we move traffic this year, which we hadn't done previously. But that's why you heard a lot of the conversation today, which is how are we dealing with outside of footprint impact? And the way we do it is with good planning. Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Moving on, we have opportunity for public comment. Anybody here want to address the board?
Someone
Oh.
coming.
Good afternoon by now, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. Mike Pittman, 420 Elm. Hey, I want to also echo your comments too, Mayor, about the weekend. It was a great weekend, a great events that we had in this city. It was great to see the volunteerism and the heroism and everything that went on this weekend. Did have a situation on July the 3rd between, say, 9:30 and 10:30 at John Paul Park. There was a major fireworks display set off there on the ball diamond. And I think the police were called at least twice. I called them once. A lot of dry grass, very little lighting, and my concern is safety. I'm not sure, there's people lined up all across top of the park. You don't see that many people at ball games. So it was obviously well publicized. And I don't know who did it or why they did it, but the police were called twice, so hopefully they've got some information. But I've got a structure down there that was, if you go down there, you can see there's no water, so the grass is pretty brown, and I am surprised it didn't light. I did find some hot coals by the road, by the edge of the road. So,
Did they launch them from inside the ballpark, or was it down in the
Ball
parking?
diamond. It was down on
Oh,
the
ball diamond, okay.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the comments I heard from someone up on the hill, my guys are doing the display again because they were shooting way up in the air.
I saw them from my house up on Green Road.
Yeah, so they were firing up pretty high, so, I would encourage, I'd love this event planning situation you've got, and I think, these folks need to be contacted, and I don't have an issue with celebrating Fourth of July, I love it, but I want it done safely and with some, I thought we should have at least a fire truck down there with some
Well,
water.
how many people you estimate, did you go down there? How many people
I
were
went
there?
down there, I would say that, well, let's put it this, they were lined up all the way up Vine Street and all the way across the top of the park. So I would say between, low would be probably 100, high would probably be 300. There was quite a few people.
We'll get with Joe on that because I know fireworks are legal in the state. I don't know how it impacts us with regards to needing to issue permits for fireworks shows if there's a gathering of people. If it elevates to that of an event, they did not request a park closure that I'm aware of. Because that's often a park or a street closure, Mike, as you know, are often the beginning catalyst for the event planning guide and requirements.
It was concerning.
Yeah,
There was
no,
a
I
lot of
agree.
children, a lot of, of course, they were having a great time. And I didn't want to put the damper on it, but quite frankly, I was concerned about it, so.
Well, we have a very, modern, drought going on right now,
We do.
and it's just dangerous.
Yeah, it's something we should definitely put on our radar, but again, I don't know how to handle that candidly, so it's something to have a conversation about.
Well, neither did the officers either.
I'm sure.
They responded well, and I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
And, but just to let you guys know.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mike.
Guys.
Thank you, Mike.
We may need to have the fire chief issue some kind of a directive due to drought conditions.
Well, and I think that a lot of times comes from our EMA office, and so that's
Yeah.
why I think there was probably a lot of confusion, which is there wasn't a park closure, there wasn't a street closure, there wasn't any type of fire caution that was issued, and fireworks are legal. So I'm just trying to put the guardrails around. Okay, then what do you do? And then we look at Joe. That's what we do. We look at Joe.
I think anytime you're having a gathering of that many people at a city park,
Yes.
you're clearly looking at a park closure. And that's what needs to happen, is if they do that, and then you can understand what they're doing, and insurance, all those types of things that we're talking about, whether it's, because even when we do a park closure for a smaller event, such as like a graduation party or something like that, we still have certain requirements that they have to abide by, so.
And the city could have had some liability in this issue if there had been an accident or shed kill and catch on fire or something of that nature.
It's always potential.
I think what we're hearing here is that we have these great event planning guide and requirements now that we're using in one fashion, but they could actually be more comprehensive, Mike, and apply to gatherings of a certain size.
Was this an impromptu gathering?
I think it was, I think it
Yeah.
was social
Sounded
media
planned to
kind
me.
of thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Anything else? Hearing none,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that motion.
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, thank you. Clerk, did you have anything?